I haven't even decided the title for this video, but I can already tell a lot of you are angry right now, so let me explain what I mean. What's up guys, Austin here, and as you know, Apple released 3 new MacBooks, the 13-inch MacBook Pro without the Touch Bar, the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar, and the 15-inch MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar. So right here, I have the 2016 MacBook Pro 13-inch without the Touch Bar, and I don't think it's a really great deal, and let me explain why. So this right here is my personal laptop. It's the early 2015 version. It has a 2.9 gigahertz i5, 16 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigabyte SSD. I got this for around $1,200. Now this right here is the new 2016 model without the Touch Bar. It comes with a 2 gigahertz i5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and a 256 gig SSD. And this retails for $1,499. Even though I got it for a lot cheaper, I actually picked this up for a friend for $1,100. And I probably wouldn't pay any more for it. So Apple's new pricing structure is pretty interesting to me. So they kicked out the old 13-inch with the CD drive for this as their entry level, and this retails for $1,299. And then you go up to the $1,499 model without the Touch Bar, and then $1,799 with the Touch Bar, and then the 15-inch goes all the way up to $4,000. We're not going to talk about that. So by no means are either of these bad laptops, but I do think there are 2 use cases whether you should buy this laptop or the older 2015 model. So first off, let's go ahead and see what all the differences are between these 2 versions. Now the new 2016 MacBook Pro has gotten a redesign. Obviously it comes in the space gray color, but it's also slimmer and smaller in just about every single way. It's a few millimeters thinner and it slims down the bezels on both sides. Now when you open it up, you'll see 3 main differences. So first off, it has a big ass trackpad. Seriously, the trackpad is probably 2 times the size of the old trackpad, and some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I don't really care. I think it's okay. Luckily, the palm rejection works well enough that you're not going to be accidentally moving the mouse while you're using it, but bigger is usually better, and I don't think it's a great thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a pretty solid design on Apple's part. Now moving on to the keyboard, this is where we get into even bigger differences. So the new 2016 MacBook is using the 2nd generation of butterfly switches, which they introduced on the 2015 12-inch MacBook. I hated it. It had pretty much no travel, and I grew to love the chiclet keyboards on all the MacBooks, but I have to say that this is an improvement. I still prefer the old keyboard, but this is definitely an improvement over the 1st generation of butterfly switches. I would actually find this usable on a laptop. I do like the fact that the actual keys are larger and the backlight on them is a little bit better. It doesn't bleed as much as the old one. In my honest opinion, it's a pretty significant improvement over the 1st generation 12-inch MacBook. It has a little bit more travel, and I do like the fact that the keys are actually bigger. But the one thing that I don't like is that it's really, really loud. And then the last thing you'll notice is that the new 13-inch has speaker grills like the 15-inch, and it actually sounds a lot better. It sounds like how I compared the 12-inch MacBook. I was very surprised, but probably the slimmest laptop I had ever used had probably the best speakers I had ever used, so that is definitely a plus on this laptop as well. And now moving on to the ports, the more controversial aspect of this laptop. It's a short story here, really. This one has regular ports. This one has 2 Thunderbolt USB Type-C ports on it. That's all you get. Now honestly, upon further deeper reflection, I don't really use that many ports on my laptop. I don't even own a USB drive. The thing that got me was the fact that this doesn't have an SD card slot. And for a pro laptop, I know not every pro uses an SD card, but for photographers and videographers, that is a huge, huge bummer. And I just can't get over it. So it's not really a big deal, and the fact that they have 2 ports on this is a lot better than just having one, because you can charge and use it for something else at the same time. Now, something that you have to keep in mind, and something that really frustrates me, is the fact that with this entry-level model without the Touch Bar, you're gonna get 2 Thunderbolt ports rather than 4. So just keep that in mind. Way less ports on this version, and you're gonna have pretty much everything you want on this. You have 2 Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB ports, and HDMI port, and an SD card slot. Luckily, they kept the headphone jack on both of these models. So my main frustration in Apple's pricing model is that there is a huge discrepancy between the 13-inch without the Touch Bar and the 13-inch with the Touch Bar. It's a $300 difference, but you're losing a lot here in my opinion. So to start, this comes with a 2 GHz dual-core processor, while the Touch Bar starts with a 2.9 GHz dual-core processor. Second thing is the graphics processor. You're getting an Iris 540 in this, and you're getting a 550 in the Touch Bar version. And then the last smallest caveat is you're actually getting slower clocked RAM speeds on this than on the 2016 with the touch bar. So on this, you're getting 1866 megahertz, and on the new one, you're getting 2133 megahertz. So a lot of people don't notice that. It's not gonna be a huge difference, but those are three things that you're missing out on, not to talk about the touch bar and getting Touch ID on the laptop. Another thing that really sucks is that they only have one option to upgrade on the non-touch bar model, which goes up to a 2.4 gigahertz i7. And that's a $300 price increase, which at that point you probably should just go with the touch bar model because that's the same price. But the processors on these two laptops, pretty much the same performance. Looking at Geekbench, with the old model, you're gonna get 3800 single core and about 7000 multi-core. On the newer model, you're gonna get 3500 single core and about 7100 multi-core. So pretty similar performance. Obviously this one does have a little bit higher processor, but going down to the 2.7 that this one starts at the website, you're gonna get pretty much the same performance, which is why here is what I finally wanna say. If you plan on buying a MacBook from Apple's website, this is probably not going to be the greatest value. Like I said before, if you spec these out pretty much the same way, they're going to cost the same price, so you might as well get the new one. And just a quick note, B&H has the base model of this for $100 cheaper, so don't buy it from Apple's website. Buy from B&H, you'll also get no tax. It's just a better deal in general. But if you're planning on speccing it up in any way, I would highly suggest that you go with a 2015 model and save a ton of money. I would actually say that the biggest difference between these two laptops actually comes in SSD speed. So on the older version, you're gonna get around 1400 megabytes per second. And on the newer version, you get 3100 megabytes read or write speed. So it's a pretty big difference, but this one is still no slouch and you can get much better deals on this. So with everything upgraded, I got this for around $1,200, and that was almost a year ago. I was on Craigslist and I found a similar model, 2.9 gigahertz, 8 gigabytes with 512 gig SSD for $700, and it was in pretty much brand new condition. So just shop around and see what you can find. So that's my 2 cents on the pricing structure and the values of this. Both great laptops. I just don't think that this should be priced the way it is. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it insightful. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.